Hi everyone, and welcome to this Kickoff meeting. I know some of you here have been here in the University of Minnesota for like almost like 10 or 15 years now, and I know that you already know as well that we have like almost like every time there's going to be like new technologies, we're always want to make sure and ensuring that we're up to keep with the technology. And for those of you who are kind of like new here as a software developer, welcome. This will be like an exciting and challenging, I guess, like start of your career as like here in University of Minnesota, particularly in Office of Information Technology. We are still like committed to bringing you the best technology as possible and ever. So let's get started. So our agenda for today will include like an introduction as to why are we here, what are we doing here in the first place, and then like it's gonna be followed by quickly followed by like a project background and overview, and then you're gonna be like have a look on the project team, on who are the project team, who comprises the project team, and then like it's gonna be followed with a project timeline, and then like we're still gonna be reserving like a question and answer at the end. So if you have like any questions and answers, feel free to ask them at the end of this presentation. All right, so let's get started. I'm June Rabin. I'm the project manager for this like project, which we are calling like migration of like process and tools, like from an old version to a new tools and new tools and equipments here in University of Minnesota Office of Information Technology. We all know that like technology is vastly changing, and it seems like just like yesterday we're using handheld phones, and now every one of us here, I'm pretty sure about it, that every one of us here have their own cell phones now, and you can see like there's a big leap of like change in technology on that kind of side. It same goes as well with project management. Here in University of Minnesota Office of Information Technology, we are used to using like as much as possible the latest technology as possible, but then again, like due to some constraints, like we still need to, since this is like a nonprofit organization, we still need to have it approved and have it like be reviewed by like a lot of higher and senior management people. But then again, like this is the day where we are kind of like kicking it off, and I'm glad to tell that like conventionally here in University of Minnesota, we've been using like those old tools before, those kind of like old fashioned way of how we communicate whenever we do projects here in for example in University of Minnesota. And then now we're gonna be migrating it like to a new and more exciting tools, such as for example Gunner the whiteboards, Gunner the post-it. And now today's the day that we're gonna be kicking it off, and we're just gonna scrap totally like all of those things and move on to stepping up like our Office of Information Technology into a new technology field level. So this project actually changes the way how project communication is executed in our organization. So before, we are relying on those like old and boring setups, but now this project changes the way how communication is handled across like the organization, including like the stakeholders. So later on, you'll also be seeing like as part of the project team, we have like the stakeholders, which are our customers. So some of you might be familiar with them. I'm pretty sure about it. And then like by introducing that this tools and activities that is used for communicating a project, each team member now and stakeholders will find themselves more engaged and more participative all throughout the phase of the project. This will not only be fun and an exciting way to engage everybody involved in the project, but then again, like at the same time, like it will definitely increase the productivity of each individuals in the project, thus resulting to a more committed and eventually successful project. Now I'm just curious, like can I see like a raise of hands, who of the people in this room right now who are kind of like, okay with the current setup of technology? And I mean by okay was like, okay when it comes like, to they don't really need some changes. They just like comfortable of like what they're using right now. Can I see hands? There's a couple. And can I see like a hands of people who are kind of like so excited, so motivated right now to for this project to be seen like when I show like the project timeline later on. Can I see hands? There's a handful. cool. It's kind of like a mix. And yeah, I mean, this will totally benefit everybody since like this is super easy. This migration is super easy to use and super like, easy to understand as well. Whether you are like, more inclined into like just being static, being steady, or like if you are a type of person who is like more dynamic and wants more change. So this project is actually focused on like, we're going to be flipping 180 degrees right now, where we're just using the old conventional way, but now we're stepping up into a new playing field in technology as like, here in University of Minnesota, Office of Information and Technology. And this will replace all the manual types of like, project communications that we're doing whenever we do the project. Yeah, so as I've said, like instead of like, we're using whiteboard, we're using pen and paper, we're using post-it. So we're now going to be upgrading to use like, electronic board. There are so many things like, as what you will be seeing in my next slides, like tools that we can like, leverage and using. And some of them are Jira, some of them are Kanban, some of them are Trello, and some of the tools are available that will just, replace those whiteboards and papers. Basically, it actually do the same thing, however, like in a more fashion and high-tech way. So agile project management tool. So based like on a survey made by like tax.com, there's like 100 companies that uses Jira board over other project methods and management tools. So as you can see here, like, a big portion of the pie is actually really, those agile project management tools, and gone are the boring days where like, it's not really, they're just like, reliant on using like all those old conventional way of like in project management. And on my next slide, like it shows like the difference between like the old technology versus new technology. So like these are like wouldn't be more fun to waste like, an online collaborative tool such as like Slack and Messenger. I know Slack is more kind of like a new, some people here might not know anything about Slack, but it's so easy to use and so convenient to use. And there's going to be like trainings as well as part of this project, so you don't have to worry about it at all. So this slide here just really makes like, a comparison as to how are we kind of like comparing the old technology versus the new technology that's being used across each of the organizations. So with these online collaborative tools, it will not only help the team members of the project team and stakeholders to have a fast, efficient, and reliable communication. Not to mention that it will also like do some savings in our company in the long run, since instead of like, for example, we don't need to send like people across like from point A to point B, because like right now with this new tools and technologies, we can just leverage on them and save a lot of like, money. So for the key stakeholders, so I'll be showing you like the stakeholders here right now, the part of the project team, and I'm the project manager, Jim Rabin, and then like I'll be assisted by like different like solutions architect, enterprise architect, Randy and Matt. We also have like our senior software engineer here, Olga Wheeler, and then we have like the lead engineer, Norman Figueroa, and then we have the principal engineer, which is like Fate Park, and then like we have the investors too. I believe like all of you know them, fairly know them well already, like our Chief Information Officer, Nicholas Weiss, and our Senior Director for Application Development, Casey Hubbard. There'll be like our, top senior level management. And I know some of you already encountered here. For those of you who have been here for quite a long time, we have like Herbert Ray and Wendy Stewart as the University of Minnesota Director of Compliance and Director of Student Relations. Pretty much sure you guys are already familiar with them, since like we've been talking about like, back and forth as our customers. So our project timeline, phase one will be like, kicking it off. Right now, what we're doing, we already done like with the feasibility study and data gathering, and we are almost ready to proceed with phase two, which is like by Q3 of 2020. For some of you might ask, like, we'll still be using the old way in parallel with like, the new way, and while we're doing like the, actual migration and testing. But like come phase three, just to remind everybody that we'll be decommissioning like all the old tools, and we're gonna be moving forward with like the new tools and operational support until like, everybody learns how to use the proper tools and communications that we'll be using for this project. So any questions and answers? So I'll be sending these slides as well for those of you who are kind of like shy or haven't thought of their questions yet. So I'll be sending the slides as well. I'll be posting them in our like inside channel for University of Minnesota Office of Information Technology. And if you have like any questions, feel free to ask them. I've shown you the team members, project team members. You can reach out to them if in any case you have any questions, and we'll be answering it right away as soon as possible. Again, thank you very much for joining this kickoff meeting, and I hope everybody finds this one very informative. And if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to shoot us an email, shoot the project team an email, and we'll be happy to answer it right away. Thank you again. Have a great day. Bye.